Hey, welcome to Progress with Patience, a podcast created to share experiences and create a space to start and continue important conversations. The title of this episode, Episode 1, is Young and Dumb. We're going to get into the 20-somethings, the late teens, college life, life without college, and discovering what life means. I figured this was the perfect topic to kick off a Life Talk podcast, being as how most of the people I talk to on a daily basis are going through the 20-somethings, late teens, and me personally, I'm about to be 22. So thinking about life and growing up and reflecting has been significant in the past few weeks. In the past month, for real, I've been thinking about what it means to grow up. And it means a lot to grow up. I'm not going to lie, more than I expected it to mean. Slight disclaimer. I may make suggestions, but understand that I am simply sharing my experiences and research so that others won't make the same mistakes or feel as alone. But let's get into it. Talking about the 20-somethings, late teens, change is one of the most emphasized parts of life at this time. Change is constant in life in general, but in those late teens, 20-somethings, I feel like we're going through a really strong transition. You know, because for me personally, it's been kind of going from the mindset of a girl to a woman and seeing myself no longer as a girl, but as a grown woman. Like, it changes when you look at yourself differently. You start to move differently and have different expectations of yourself. And even changing my wardrobe has become a part of me growing up. We're growing into this more advanced mindset, or at least we're trying to. Nobody wants the same mindset they had in their teens or in their childhood when they're going into their 20s and adulthood and making those big decisions. You can't make big decisions with a little mindset. That's just not possible. I have had to go from being an emotionally driven person to using more logic and applying more logic. Last year, I made the mistake of applying too much logic and too little emotion, and it wasn't me. And I got very out of touch with myself because I knew that if I applied more logic, back when I functioned as a more emotional being, I knew that if I had applied more logic, I would not end up in some of those same situations, because when I acted out of emotion and I let it drive who I spent my time around and how I spent my time, I wasn't doing stuff that was good for me. I was not around people that were good for me. I ended up in situations I didn't need to be in, and problems occurred that could have easily been avoided had I listened to myself and my intuition. Your brain, your logical side of your head will tell you things you should be listening to. And I chose to ignore what was right because something else felt right in the moment. Something else would have made me feel better in the moment. But I knew you're going to have to face some repercussions, you know? There will be something you will be responsible for. When this goes, how you know it's going to go. Listen to that part of you. Allow your emotions to let you do what makes you happy and help you find joy in this life and peace and reflect. And even sometimes your emotions will bring you sadness, but sadness isn't always bad. Sometimes sadness is necessary. You know, being angry can be necessary, but it all kind of goes into how you act, how you take it in, your reaction to that emotion and how you express it. So think before you act, because as going from a teenager to being an adult, you're responsible for your mistakes. Your parents can't coddle you anymore. The world isn't going to coddle you. It's going to be cruel. And you have to be responsible for that. You have to learn to take accountability for your actions and your mistakes and not repeat them. Because if you don't take accountability in the first place, you will repeat the same stuff and you'll end up being that person. I don't like being around that person. It puts me in a bad place, and you get to seeing routines you don't need to be taking in for yourself. And another part of being in the early 20-somethings, late teens, is that too young and too old simultaneously idea, you know? Like you're too young for certain things, especially at 18. You too young to be out here acting like you 21, you know? You ain't 21, but people 18 still be out here acting like they 21. And 18 through 21, I feel like that's the period where it's just like, I just want to grow up. I'm ready to be there already. And now it's crazy because 21 and 22 are so different for me. Because 21, I was thinking, I wanna be this grown up already. I'm trying to be out this college life. I'm ready to be making my money, living in my purpose. And at 22, I'm still like that. Like, I'm ready to graduate. I'm ready to live in my purpose. But also, it's getting very close to the ending of my undergraduate years. I'm getting my master's after, but even that's a short period of time. So it's all like, who do you want to be? And are you working in that direction? Because you too old to be strictly living in the moment. Especially at this point in my life, I'm about to be 22, graduating college. I cannot risk simply enjoying my last year of college. Simultaneously, I have to prepare myself to graduate college. Because if I leave college stuck in the mindset of, let me just enjoy all the joys of life and engage in all the student activities, I'm not going to have a job set up for me. And I plan on having a job set up for me after college. You know, I plan on making things happen for me. I got things to do. So to do those things, I can't be stagnant. I can't risk being held back because I got too much going for me, too much that I want to do. So in that, surrounding yourself with the right people who will help you go forward, you're bound to lose some people. That has been one of the harder lessons of growing up for me, is that losing people is an unfortunate necessity. You need to lose some people to really grow. The same people that I enjoyed being around, that I, spent all my time around, had the most fun with, loved the most, were not the same people that were going to push me forward. Now, there were some of them who I can keep around who were all on the same mission as me, trying to make something happen with their life, had a direction and were working towards it. And those people, we work towards our directions together. And their values have to align too, because there are people who are solely working towards their direction and are not emotionally stable. They're not worried about their emotions. They just worried about going where they want to go. And there are certain people who I will study with, but I won't sit in my house and have a conversation about my emotions with those people because I know they won't understand. The people I'm the closest to are the people who I connect with in a state of expressing our emotions and what makes us happy and what we like to do for fun outside of our focus, but at the same time, the ones I really connect with are the ones who understand the balance of having fun and working towards your goal. Those people I love to be around because I can have my fun with those people, but if one of us gets to thinking too much fun, we gonna check each other. Get back in line, says you got things to do. You can't allow yourself to get caught off guard like this. So you are going to outgrow people, and sometimes you may even outgrow relationships, and that's okay. Sometimes those people you outgrow may be family, and that's okay. There are people I still talk to not very often. I say a few times a year, and I love those people with all my heart. I know they love me, but on a day-to-day basis, we not on the same time. We're not trying to do the same things. So we had to allow each other space to do what we need to do as individuals, but still remain cool as people. The company you keep does have a big impact on who you become. Don't let that slip. There's a saying I keep in mind is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Surround yourself with people who can build you up. I am at a point where I'm looking for people who can help me, but also who is not just like taking from, it's also, I can help you too. Like, this is a mutual relationship. This is not how in science they teach you about those relationships where it's like the oh my gosh, where it's like the bug is like draining the animal. And then there are some relationships where it is a mutual relationship. And then there are some relationships where it's like, oh, I don't mind if you take from me, like I got it like that. And I think about that when I get older and having that, where I'm okay with you when having to take care of you. That's kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me think of a relationship with your child. Like, but also like they'll take from you and you're okay with that because you brought them in this world, but also a child can also be a mutual relationship. Just as much happiness as they give you, you give them that much happiness. So be careful and be mindful of the relationships you're creating and the people you're surrounding yourself with. Because fear and insecurity will lead you to stagnant growth. I am very cautious about stagnant growth, if you cannot tell so far. I am not trying to stay stagnant. I'm not comfortable being comfortable. If anything, I have a severe uncomfortability with comfortability. Once I start getting too comfortable or too, stuck in the same place, it's like time to push myself because being in the same place isn't okay with me. I'm not okay with that. I'm always aiming to be better, to move better, because I know there's better to be had. There's better to be in me. I may be great right now. My confidence is high. I'm very self-aware. I love me. But at the same time, I'm aware that there are some things I could work on. At the same time, I'm aware that this is a lot I have worked on. Keeping all of that in mind, what you have worked on, your growth, and how much you need to grow, while acknowledging and appreciating who you are in the present. Give yourself time to do that, because then we need to get into finding yourself. Isn't that what everybody's trying to do in their late teens, early 20-somethings, finding themselves, right? Who are you? What makes you happy? How do you like to spend your money? What are you okay with? What is morally incorrect and correct to you? Because that one I'm learning. Some things that are correct for you ain't correct for other people. Some things that you may believe are okay won't be okay to other people. That, again, comes around to who you surround yourself with. You have to align your values and your goals and align those with other people. Then you'll find your people. But you can only do that when you found yourself first, when you figured those things out for yourself first. You don't figure them out for yourself. How can you expect to be surrounded by people who have already figured it out for themselves? Because like I said, the people who are already there mentally are focused on surrounding themselves with others who are there mentally, or who can help them, or who they can mutually benefit from. If they can't mutually benefit from you, if you ain't helping them at all, everybody's looking for how can you help me? And how can I help you? But more so, how can you help me? There are some people who will literally just focus on how can you help me? Not how can I help you? And I find myself wanting to be around the people where it's a mutual. But some people just want to take. They just want to take. Don't be one of those people. Do not be one of those people. Because just as you are absorbing lessons, they are trying to learn lessons. Everybody is trying to grow in this world. And if you're not trying to grow, don't expect to be around those that are. If you're not willing to help yourself, don't expect to find someone who is willing to help you, because that drains them. And you shouldn't be comfortable being one of those people. And I shouldn't say that you shouldn't want to be. Everybody can want to be who they are. Everybody has their own dreams, own desires. So I shouldn't say that. But me personally, I can't be one of those people who just takes. I can't be okay with that, because I care too much for other people to be the person draining you. I would literally leave that situation, or I would push myself first before I put myself in that situation, But at the same time, give yourself grace. If you make a mistake, if you catch yourself being one of those people that were draining something, that was draining someone, that's when it comes down time to take accountability. Like, yes, I did this, I'm sorry, I did not mean to be that kind of person. And then you take the lesson, absorb the lesson, and don't repeat the same mess. Don't put yourself in the same situation again. It won't help you. It won't help the other person. Going back up to that, I mentioned money, didn't I? Them 18 through 20 somethings and the money. All I got to say is save. Save you some money. You won't regret it. My emergency fund has saved me so many times because I have a different budget than I was taught. And the one that I was taught gave me a base to build my own budget. The base that I had in high school, I had one of those financial classes, those financial help classes that are supposed to help you get yourself in check, give you a base. It was meant to give you a base for you to build on. And for some people, this is how they live. It's not just their base. It is what works for them. It just wasn't what worked for me. So the rule is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% is needs, 30% is wants, and 20% is savings. I don't make enough for all that, and my bills take up most of my money right now. My bills take up about 70% instead of 50%. So I had to change this around a little bit. I don't get to put 30% into my wants. I don't get to do that yet. Eventually, hopefully, oh my gosh, hopefully, I get to the point where I can put 30% into my wants. But right now, I have to put about maybe 10, 15, if I'm lucky, 20% towards my wants. But more goes to my savings than it does towards my wants. And that's just because I like being prepared. Some people ain't too stressed about it. What happens, happens. I'll deal with it later. Again, with the mindset change, that mindset should, be altered a little bit possibly, because that I'll deal with it later attitude is going to have you dealing with something later that you are not going to want to deal with. It may even get your feelings hurt, and those will be emotions you don't want to deal with. And then you got to deal with the turmoil of having emotions undealt with and all this stuff. And with money, your tire pop on the road, you don't have an emergency fund. You stress now. When you could have had that emergency fund and not been stressed at all. Like that. Unfortunately, that situation literally happened to me. Like, my tire went out on the road. I didn't have the money to deal with it. And luckily for me, I had a support system strong enough and people who were solid enough in themselves to the point where they could rescue me a little bit and I could pay them back later. But that lesson taught me, save some money, girl. You need it more than you will need some. I love to give me some Wingstop, take myself to the movies. That used to be my treat myself thing, because I do encourage treating yourself. You worked hard for your money. Spend a little bit of it on yourself, but only as much as you can spare. Be wise about that. Don't go out here buying you a Louis bag when you could have invested in an experience. That Louis bag could have been a plane ticket. That Louis bag could have been some clothes off of Shein and a movie ticket with some popcorn. It could have been a nice little date or something. It could have been so many other things, but you chose to put your money there. If a Louis bag is worth more than an experience to you, then by all means, go get it. If I don't even know what do guys and cars, if your car payment, them Chargers, SRTs, all that, if that car payment being $500 a month is cool for you, cool. But other people may choose to spend their money on other things. You can't judge someone for how they spend their money. Everybody make their own decisions. What's right for you ain't right for everybody else. Going back to some of the other things I've already said in this podcast, don't judge how other people spend their money. Spend yours how you know you need to spend yours. Because there are people who were like, you could have had so much money if you would have saved up by now. I know that. I'm aware. But I had to learn the lesson. Like I know that now, but when I was spending the money, I didn't know that, Sometimes you have to do the immature, not so smart things to learn. But if you know better, do better. Don't force yourself to relearn a lesson you already know, especially financially, because you could have a job now, but these jobs really, I'm not going to say they don't care about you, because me personally, I really hope I can find a place that does care about me enough to the point where, I'm not so worried about them being able to fire me just like that. We don't want to be in spaces where we're not valued, but some people may have to be in spaces where they are not so valued. All you need the job for is to get your money, and all they need you for is to make their money. That's it. That is it. But there are some spaces where you are truly valued as a professional. And those ones you won't have to worry about, money so much. But some places, if you are working in one of those places where they will fire you and not care, or if you on the edge, that also has to play into your financial decisions. If they are this close to firing you, like super close to firing you, don't go splurge. You need to save your money, because who knows when you're going to find another one, And that really goes into the people outside of college, because I tried the outside of college life. The 9 to 5, I had my own apartment. I did the 9 to 5. I did a gap year. I graduated class of 2020. I did not plan on coming back to college, and here I am in my final year. Surprise, surprise to myself, because, whoa, when did that happen? But I did take a gap year, and during that year, I decided to be grown. I was 18. Girl, chill out, breathe, enjoy life. But lesson learned, again, learning lessons the hard way when I didn't have to. But I got an apartment and I got the car. I needed a car to get around, but I could have easily gotten the car and stayed living with my mama stacking money. However, I chose to be grown, get my own apartment, get my own car, and I ended up losing said apartment quickly because Texas had a winter storm. I didn't get my money from that check, and I was living paycheck to paycheck, literally. Like, one check would go to my car payment, and I would hardly have anything left after that. And then, the next check would go towards my rent, and then that wouldn't be nothing left after that. I hardly had groceries up in the house. I was lucky I got furniture because, again, strong support system got me through that. I got furniture from my siblings. So, loved that. I was lucky. But, and I had a little Amazon bed. It was good. It was a good little bed frame. It was simple, slight, little $60, $70 or something. But if I had chosen to live with my mother, I could have had my car paid off by now. Lessons learned the hard way that did not have to go that way. If you know better, do better. And now I very much emphasize investing in experiences. I know how important it is for me to love my life. For some people, they can live strictly driven. They can live a life where everything they're doing now is for the future. I can't. I got a lot going on right now that is for the future, but at the same time, I need something benefiting the now. I need something making me happy right now. I need it. I can't go without it. So I invest in experiences because those will be the things that when I am struggling with what I have to do for the future, like in college. I'm in college, for example. I'm in college. That is for the future. I'm not taking these classes just because I want to. Now, I am in my major now, so it's easier because I do actually enjoy my classes because they go towards what I want to do in the future. But back when I didn't want to be in any of those classes, I didn't want to do any of that. I took myself on a nice walk around Herman Park in Houston, a nice deep breath, and I was back to me. I was back to my peace. It just gave me a nice reset. I invest in experiences because I need them. But again, do what works for you. Because all this advice people can give you all the advice in the world. What you take in for yourself is up to you. But a little recap of the podcast. We have change. Change is necessary. Don't avoid it. You'll have to deal with it later, and it will be harder. Money. Save your money. Spend it wisely. Losing people. It's necessary. You may not have to lose everybody. Hold on. And I've got some people I done held on to tights. Will not let go of. That's okay. But also, if you need to space out from some people, not completely let them go, but space out, do so. Finding yourself. We all trying to find ourselves, aren't we? Don't find yourself in love. Let me touch on that point, because social media loves to emphasize some love, don't they? All the TV reality shows surrounding love. Oh, my gosh. And even beyond that, I literally just was on social media on TikTok, and it was a compilation, one of those videos where they just put together, what do they call them? They call them edits. One of those edits of Whitley and Dwayne. And it put my mind right back in the idea of love. Meanwhile, I need to be focused on starting my podcast. I need to be focused on the fact that I turned 22 this weekend. I need to be focused on the fact that my senior year begins on Monday. But instead, I'm stuck over here thinking about another person. I got other things to worry about. You know, another person can't always be at the front of your mind, especially when you need you more than anybody else does. And I have written that all over my room. You need you more than anybody else does. Have your own back before you go trying to be somebody's savior, you know. Take care of you first, because you also can't check nobody else when you don't have yourself together, you know. Don't go trying to give somebody advice on something you struggling with yourself. And if you are, take your own advice, you know. Be more open, be more honest, but also think about, what do you want from love and what do you want from a partner? Because you'll end up learning from love when you don't know what you want from love personally. And you will learn some hard lessons, because they'll teach you what you don't want. And occasionally, if you get that person, someone will teach you what you do want. But every person, even I had to learn recently, even when you have so much of what I want, I learned what my non-negotiables are. You know, I didn't know that before my last person. Like, there are some things I cannot settle for. I can't go without in a relationship. I need these things. No matter how much I love you, you got to learn what you need from love and your love languages and what you want from a partner. You could be out here flirting with everybody everybody in the room. But if you knew what you wanted in a partner, you will realize half of these people you flirting with are a waste of your time. If you really value your time, by the way. Value your time, value your money, value yourself. Because at the end of the day, if nobody else is going to do it, you need to be the one to do it. You have to have your back, because who knows who else will? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Learn to love your lonely. And even outside of partners, there are ways to find companionship and company outside of romantic relationships. My friends, I love my friends, because even when I'm not in relationships, when I need someone to go talk to, when I want to go out and adventure somewhere and go on and do some date type stuff, I can go do it with my girls. If I don't got a person, I'm not finna rush to go find a partner so I can go to the museums and go to the movies. I hit my girls up like, who trying to go to the movies? Who trying to go to the museums? Building those friendships have been much more important to me than building a solid relationship, romantic relationship. Building a love for my career has given me a really solid base in love. I'm not going to lie, because I know how important my career is to me. So I won't end up with somebody who isn't as focused on their career or can't help me at all, when I'm going into mine. Because my partner, I'm going to need that to be somebody I can count on for advice every now and then, which means they have to have a knowledge base to draw from, And because I value my career so much, it gave me another non-negotiable, something I can't settle on. So, value yourself more than anything. Like, if there's any one piece of advice I can give to the 20-somethings and late teens, value you before you go trying to value someone else. Because if you don't got the base in you, you're not going to have the base for your adulthood. But that is all for Progress with Patience. Thanks for tuning in.